Now before we start, if you guys enjoy this tutorial today, consider becoming a Patreon. You get access to awesome rewards and you also help me out to continue creating Minecraft mods, videos and more. So if you're interested, link in the description below. Hey guys, how's it going? It is Mr. Crayfish and welcome back to my device API tutorials. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the slider component. Now, I actually recorded this episode, however, the footage got corrupted, I think. I can't remember because I recorded it a couple of days ago, but basically I have to re-record this. But let's go ahead and head into the laptop here and let's take a look at the tutorial application and show you guys what we're going to be building today. So basically, we're going to be building this kind of, color viewer, and we can adjust the RGB values of the color at the top here. So when all the bars here are set all the way to the right here, it actually makes white, but if we turn down the green and we turn down the blue here, you'll see that we have control of the red values only now. Let's increase the green here, we'll get yellow. If we take down the red there, we'll get the green. If we increase the blue, we'll get like a cyan. And I think you guys get the point here. You could also make like a gray if you wanted to, so let's make it gray. But yeah, this is what we're going to be building today as, just an example application of how you could utilize sliders. But obviously, you can utilize these however you like in your own application. I just want to be able to show you guys, how you can actually utilize them to the fullest. So let's go ahead and let's head back into the code. Alrighty, so let's start this off. So we're going to have a custom layout here. So we're actually just going to start this off with layout equals new layout. Now I mentioned just before that I actually already recorded this tutorial, however the footage or something got corrupted basically. So I'm actually just going to be referencing the code that I wrote before just to make this a little bit easier. So we're actually going to create a new layout. So obviously, maybe you guys have a different layout to me. So we're going to do layout 90 wide and 95 high. And we're going to start by adding in the actual sliders. So let's just go ahead, let's create a basic slider here. So we're going to type in slider. Now I think it was already imported. I'm actually going to re-import it just to make sure that we are all good. So when you type in slider here, you'll do slider. We'll call this probably like slider red or something like that. Equals new slider. So let's make sure we import the correct one, and it should be from the component package because there is other implementations with the same name, so make sure you're getting the right one here. And then what we need to do is for the parameters here, we need to give it a left, a top, and a width. So I think I'm just gonna make mine 5 from the top, 5 from the left, 5 from the top, and then we're gonna have a 5 padding on each side. So take 10 off that, and it should be 80. Let's add that to our layout here. So add component slider red, and then let's go ahead this dot set current layout to layout there. All right, let's go ahead. Let's just see what this has actually done, and it should have just added a basic slider. Obviously, we haven't added in the functionality yet, but we will be getting to that in a second here. There we go. We have a basic slider in our application. Does nothing right now, but as you can see, we can move it around as such. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of the properties you can actually change around with these sliders. Now, I've already got it in debug mode, which is really good, so I don't even have to reload the application. I can just recompile the class and the code will be updated. I'm sure you guys know about debug mode already, but let's take a look at some of the methods inside of the slider class, which you can utilize to change around the properties of it. So we have things like the color. You can set the listener for it. You can set the percentage. You can get the percentage. So like the percentage is basically how far is it to the right here. So here it would be 1.0. Here it would be 0, and then obviously if it was like in the middle, it'd be like 0.5. So it is kind of like a normal value. Let's take a look here what else we can do. I think that's pretty much it. You can set the background color of it. You can set the border color, click listener, release listener. So when you actually click on here, you can handle an action. When you actually release the actual little slider here, you can call an action, or you can do what is known as a slider listener, and every time you change the position of it on here, it will actually call this method here, and we're going to be using this to actually display the color above the sliders like we did at the start of this tutorial today. Now, because this is the red slider, what I'm going to do is set slider color, and then we're going to do color.red. Now, this is something that I might change in the future because I don't like that I'm utilizing this color object from Java AWT, because I want it to just be an integer instead. But let's go ahead, we've set that to red, and if we actually recompile this now and we go back into the application and reload it back up, as you can see, the slider here is now red. That looks really, really cool. And let's go ahead, let's add in the other sliders. So we need to add in the green, and then we also need to add in the blue one as well. So that's going to be the blue one, and that would be the green one. Let's make sure we change around all these correctly. So slider blue, let's change the color there, and then also add it. Let's type in blue. And then, well, that was supposed to be green. Whoopsie. Let's not mix this up. This one has to be green. And then let's also position this correctly. Now I'm going to do the values that I did in my previous code here, but you'll have to obviously figure this out for your own applications here. So we have 50, 65, and then also 80. So looks like I've done 15 value increments to that top value each. So if we take a look now, there we go. We've got our sliders here with the different colors on it, representing the different color values for our current selected color. Now we actually haven't created this yet. So basically what we want to do now is when we actually slide this, right, we want to create a color. So if we were to, you know, have this all the way over here, right, the color above here would be red, but we've got to create this color. And how do we use all these sliders here to actually create that color? Well, it's very, very simple. So as I mentioned before, there's a thing known as the slider listener. So every time the value changes, it calls this method here. So if we actually do this, we can do a bit of lambda, and this v here will be the percentage. So as I mentioned before, this is 0, and then all the way at the end here would be 1.0. So what we can actually do is, what we actually first of all need to do is actually rearrange some of these here. So what we're going to do is actually put all the slider definitions at the top here, so we can get access to them inside of our slider listener. We need to create a value at the top here. So we're going to do like private int color equals, let's just do like color dot white dot get RGB. We're also going to set all the sliders to start off at 1.0. So let's go slider red dot set percentage 1.0f, and let's do that for the other ones as well, because if all of them are to the right, that will basically mean that the color is white, which is actually the starting color here. And there we go. It should be all to the right now. So let's actually go ahead and just have a look if that is working, and it should be. So if we reload the application here, hold up, let me just go ahead, get rid of that. All right, there we go. As you can see, all the sliders here will start off to the right just by setting the percentage. We could also, you know, if you wanted just to show it off, we could do 0.5 here. And oh, I closed off. Did I close off the, I think I closed off the game. Okay, whatever. I think you guys get the point of this set percentage method here, but let's add that slide listener in right now and create this color. Alrighty, now the slide listener is actually going to be the same for all of these sliders, because basically we're going to grab the percentage of each of these sliders and then just create a new color out of them whenever any of these sliders actually change. So what we can actually do is create a slide listener up here. We'll just call this listener, and then we'll do a little bit of lambda here, so v, and then do this. We don't even have to do that, I think. We can just do color equals new color, and then we can do slider red get percentage, slider green, get percentage, and then slider blue, get percentage. And then at the end here we get RGB, colon, and then there we go, or semicolon. And then what we have to do is simply just assign the slide listener here to every single slider. So set slide listener, and then put in the listener there. Do that for the green, and then finally the blue. Now, we're not really going to notice anything. All we are doing is actually, you know, setting the color here. But what we can see is if we actually go ahead, and I guess what we could do is, I don't know, we'll just do this. We'll just do what I did in the previous code. And that is we actually set a background object to our layout here. I'm pretty sure I've covered backgrounds with layouts. If not, it's basically just a way to render something. Render some, you know, rectangles or something like that with the layout here. So let's go ahead, let's do GUI.drawRect. Now these parameters here, I'll actually get the actual real ones here, because right now in the actual API I actually haven't added these incorrectly. So hopefully the next version of the device API parameter names will actually be included. But this is the parameter names here. So GUI, Minecraft, X, Y, width, height, mouse X, mouse Y, and window active. So now we can draw our kind of box that we will render this color into. So let's go X, X plus 5, whoopsie, X plus 5. So we're doing the kind of top left position of the rectangle, and then we're going to do the bottom right position of it. So Y plus 5. Then we'll do X plus 85, and then Y plus 45. And then we're just gonna, this is basically going to be an outline for the color. Now I kind of, you know, this tutorial is a little bit different today, because usually how the format of these tutorials works is that I pretty much go straight into coding without even having any code prior to the tutorial. But because obviously, you know, the previous tutorial I made a mistake and couldn't use the footage, I already kind of have all the code here and just kind of copying it out. So it kind of feels a little bit weird for me to do all this, but hopefully you guys will understand. But yeah, we're drawing another rectangle on top of that, well after it, which is actually going to render the color here. So X plus 84. So basically there's a kind of like a black outline to the actual color here. You'll see it in a second. Plus 45, and then here we pop in our color. Simple as that. And then if we go ahead and we start up the game now, we should notice that you know, we're rendering the color above, but we can also change it around now using the sliders. Alrighty, so let's take a look at our tutorial app, and there we go. So we've got white. Let's see if this works now. So let's take down the green and the blue, and we should have red here. Let's just bring up the green. Yep. Let's bring up the blue here. It looks like it is working. Let's bring up the green. Let's also bring up the red here, and it is working perfectly. One thing I might do, just because, you know, I haven't actually done this, something new. Let's go ahead. Let's do. Let's go. I think it's render util.draw drawString clipped here, and what we're going to do is actually draw the value. Maybe we'll also do. Let's do like new color. My bad. What we can do instead of that is actually integer.toHex string. Then we can do color there. And let's go ahead. Let's add in these extra. What are these extra parameters for this? X, Y, width, color, and shadow. Let's do the X here to 10, or from the left to the top. We actually have to utilize the X and Y values here of the background. The width of it is going to be, I think 80. Yeah, it would be 80. Color, let's just do color.white.getRGB, and then let's draw the shadow there. Okay, so we should be actually drawing the hex value of this color now inside of the box. And there we go. So if we change this around, we should be able to see it. Now it also does have the alpha value attached to this as well, or at the start here, so it will always be FF at the start there. But as you can see, you know, this is working correctly. We can see the hex value and the actual color for this. You can test this out yourself. So if you actually, you know, copied these last 6 characters here and you put it into Photoshop or something like that, it will come up with this kind of green color here. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's not really the most pleasing green color. It's kind of a dark apple green color. But that, my dudes, is going to end off this tutorial today. Let me know in the comments how you guys are enjoying these tutorials. You know, I've been creating a bunch of these and I really want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments right now, you know, what you want to see next maybe. And I will look into doing it. But we're going to still continue on with looking at all the different components inside of the device API and getting them all covered. So thank you guys for joining me today. I will see you guys for the next tutorial real soon. Bye guys.